The judge messaged me to tell me my first drive tonight in race number 1 was scratched, which gave me a little extra time. So I thought I'd double up today. Went to Starbucks on the way to Northfield. Race 3, greatest endings of my first drive now. Race 1's probably going to the gate in 10 minutes. In my world, tons of time. In reality, I'm going to get there about 15 minutes, 20 minutes before the race. It's I continue to get messages from people that I haven't talked to in a long, long time, and it's a great feeling. It's great to connect with people I haven't spoke to in a while, reminisce, and of course it was over the videos that I posted the last week, just trying to come to grips with everything that happened in my life, and or things that affected my life and how they affected my life, because as I said a number of times before, it is foreign to me, and the videos have helped for sure, and I've had a ton of people message me that have lost people and said, your videos helped, or I can relate, you'll get past this and things will be all right. And it's great, because I'm right on the point where, when people say that to me, my initial thought is embarrassment, almost, that embarrassment that I'm somehow in their thoughts when it didn't really happen to me, right? And yet I almost feel like I was always close with Hunter, but not close enough that people should be showering me with condolences. So in that regard, it's been a bit of an odd feeling. But watching some of the people around me that have been close to me, and how it's truly affected them without an outlet like this, has been definitely eye-opening. I had a long conversation with my brother yesterday, Mark. Now, Mark has always been a very good driver, and quite frankly, the start to his career, James's career, other great drivers' careers, wasn't that different than where Hunter was headed, in the direction he was headed in. Everybody's looking for that outlet to spring forward, right? To become what they want to be. Not all of us will become what we want to be. Some of us will. But everybody I've ever known has gotten the opportunity, right? Either they squandered it, they weren't good enough, or it just didn't work out, right? Some people, you thought you could watch them ascending the ranks. Such a cool industry too, because there's guys that I watched drive when they were young and think, God, this guy's a terrible driver, and they got a little better, and a little better, and a little better. Fast forward 2 years, 3 years down the road, you're like, this guy's got talent. And again, I'm not going to name names, but I remember when I was coming up, and just so we're clear, I got my chance, and I wasn't James, I wasn't Mark. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have zero regrets in regards to that. But I remember when I was starting to drive, this nice old gentleman, he was a judge at the time, and I was just a kid, man. I was like 21, maybe 22, and I was driving at Belleville. We'll talk about dangerous sport. It was never any more dangerous than it was at Quinte Exhibition Racetrack. And I remember he pulled me aside one night, and he said, I like watching you drive. You know, you're aggressive. You make mistakes. You sometimes learn from them, but you're always ready to go the next race, the next race, the next race. And he said, I watched you race at Kawartha Downs also. Now, for me, when I was a kid, Belleville Raceway was the minors, right? It was a place to ply your trade and a place to learn to be a driver so that someday you could be. Good drivers were there too. Gord Brown, great driver, was there. John Thompson, Steve Skeen, and the guy that did message me today, Pete LaRush, was also there. And all those guys drove, and I loved racing. I was always so competitive. And it never dawned on me until much later how dangerous it was actually there. Anyway, the judge had said, you know, keep it up, keep plying your trade, keep learning, listen to the older drivers, and be ready. And he said, hopefully you'll get your chance. Well, Hunter was in the midst of getting his chance. People were talking about him. I believe he went to race in the North American Cup elimination. And although you drive a long shot, you go to a different country, you get in the bike, you're surrounded by people that don't know you and you don't really know them, and you go out and you do your best and you do well, people notice that. Then you know, a year later, you start driving, winning a lot of races at Northfield and the Meadows. Before you know it, you hook onto an outfit, like coming in to race at the Meadows. You're driving their horses. Aside from Ronnie Wren, Hunter Myers was Ron Burke's go-to guy the last little while. How many drivers that guy make? But he was in the midst of getting that. And my brother recognized that. He was all, you know, he was all choked up for a number of reasons. Because knowing that Hunter lost his life in such a manner that he didn't. It's not something he wants to talk about. I was right beside him at Mohawk one night when he hit the track. I don't like to talk about this, and it's not something that's public, but you know, Mark had knocked his teeth out. Like, he had smashed the track hard enough to knock his teeth out. And they were fake from getting knocked out before. So they were drilled into his jaw. And they came out. That's the force he hit the track with. And I was debating in my head a second ago to even say that. But for somebody that was in a very similar situation, to still be here on Earth to raise a family, that has his chance, had his chance, and made himself what he was. My brother won everything. I could drive till I was 200, and I would never win as many races as him. And he recognized it. So even, like, and Mark met Hunter, kind of knew him, texted him jokingly back and forth from time to time. It's the kind of guy Mark was. Mark came here for the open house, and we were, you know, having a couple of beers, and we were at the track, right? I think Scotty was with us too. Mark and Scotty and I. And he said something to Hunter over the fence. Oh, you can't get this one to the front or whatever. And Hunter said, I'll bet you 20. He got him to the front. And I remember him come back after. He says, where's my 20? But Mark being Mark, not just cheap, but funny. He gave him $1. And he said, I'll give you $1 every time I see you. Every time I see you. And he did. Every time. He gave him $1 here and there. But that was Mark being Mark. And Hunter loved it. He giggled, laughed every time. Tell your brother I want my money. So it hit my brother hard. My brother doesn't take that stuff very well, right? Because he's been as close to it as some people. I went down and broke my wrist. Boo-hoo. You know, I've been in accidents and never really been hurt. He has. So it hit him pretty hard, and just that I feel a little embarrassed when I get a message from somebody, saying your video helped. But I know the feeling because it's definitely helped me. So for those of you who were looking for another video about my feelings, it ends here. I do have another video to make, and that is one that we did. I am back to training right now, back to focusing on my drives, trying to focus on the burn. I was so happy today. We have a bunch of mares also, so I guess this video is going to be a couple minutes longer. We have a bunch of mares, and I was looking for a TCI breeding. And for those of you who've been watching the market, Mark Weaver, Ron Burke, Mike Buscemi, and that entire gang literally plays chess while we play checkers. And I don't mean to heap praise on people, but think of it. They had a stud that in TCI that had an incredible racing career. They put him in Ohio, where people generally don't pay a lot for breedings, right? Well, Uncle Peter, What the Hill, these stud fees are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. They put TCIs at 10, sold them out, which was impressive. But there was none available forever, and they kept pumping them and pumping them and getting great mares. They were doing the legwork, getting these incredible mares to breed to TCI. Now everybody wanted a piece of TCI, but there was no pieces left. The stud fee was 10. I was the underbidder on a standard breeding, 10 or 20% down, the rest at live full. It was like $19,000, almost 100% markup. I wanted to breed a Glarium to TCI. Couldn't do it. Couldn't get it. Now, because our industry is an incredibly wholesome industry, a few people put breedings up, a few more. Before this massive book of breedings was together in benefit of Hunter Myers, Chloe Myers, and Hayden Myers. Just not shockingly, just an incredibly generous thing to do. And I'd said to John, I messaged him, and I said, hey, we had secured a breeding it for Father Patrick for Big Glarium, but I did want a TCI breeding. There was just none around, so I couldn't wait forever. It's almost April. I wait, and I bid, and we bought the TCI breeding for $12,700 today, which is above book. John helped out because I don't have very much money this time of year, so the $12,700 he's going to have to pay. But the stable bought the TCI breeding, and I just felt good. And then went back to feeling good. So, so much, I got so much from people that have messaged me also, not congratulations, but, it was so nice to make those videos, and it helped. You have no idea when people hear that stuff and see that stuff, how it helps them heal also. But to hear the stories from people, I lost a loved one in high school abruptly. I lost a friend, when I was younger, abruptly. A parent, a cousin, whatever, abruptly. It's not the same, right? So thank you. Although it did feel a little weird, because maybe I was it did help. So thank you. Now, the rest of the video, you know what? I'm going to stop this video because there's a lot of people, although I've heard from a lot of you, I'm sure you don't want to hear about how our baby's trained today. What's coming up to the stable. So I'm gonna cut it short in 15 minutes. Not that short after all. But I'm gonna come back with another video geared towards our stable people. And I still feel a little weird doing this. There was zero information from the stable, just given in a 15-minute video. But although I feel better, far from what I would call healed, so I will post it. Those of you waiting to hear about your horses today, I will do another video right now talking about the sets today, the training. A lot of people asking why Aunt Lily wasn't in the qualifiers today. I have a very easy answer for you on that also. Who is qualifying this week, who's schooling, who's training, who's getting close to racing. I love your video right now. But for everybody else, thank you again. If these videos do help, then